Hi everyone, it's Brittany here from Green Bee Flowers in Strathroy, Ontario. Today we are going to talk about dahlias. Dahlias, dahlias, tomato, however you want to pronounce them. I've been procrastinating for months to do the rest of my dahlia tubers. We grew about 1,000 dahlias this past year, so for 2021, which meant we had about 1,000 dahlia clumps that we needed to dig up. So we've probably gotten through about 600 to 700 clumps, right? Which is really good. There are still a lot of dahlias that I need to divide. So I thought I'd take the opportunity, because I did promise we would do a video on dividing dahlias, to show you the process of how I divide dahlias. And then we're going to talk about our 2022 dahlia lineup. And then I'm going to talk about the dahlias that I am culling from the garden, because there are definitely some that they just didn't make the cut. Literally, they didn't make the cut. Let's get into it today. We've got a bunch to talk about, but let's first start with dahlia dividing. So I have dahlias in every size of tuber that you could possibly imagine. It did in fact get a little ridiculous this year. You know, we have some like this clump of Clearview Debbie, which just like, it's massive. It's the size of my hand. And Clearview Debbie was a good dahlia. This will be a nice one to divide. We cleaned these up and actually washed these back in just November and December, but it's got some good chunks here with lots of eyes in the center. Everything's looking healthy, there's no gull, so I will definitely be dividing this one. Then we have clumps, like Miss Bodacious here. Bodacious is one of the dahlias that we are in fact going to be selling as a part of our tuber sale this year. Bodacious is a really big dinner plate dahlia. It's red and yellow, very popular with the farmers markets, not as popular with the florists, but that doesn't matter. It was a good producer for us. So this is one that I'm going to be dividing with you today, because it's big, and you can definitely see, you'll be able to see where all the eyes are on this. So when I'm doing dahlias, I always make sure to have a few different snips handy. I find that sometimes my flower snips don't always get through the big stalks. So I normally make sure that I have a good set of pruners as well. But when I divide, what I start with is opening the pruners. I start by taking the stalk off. And like, this requires a bit of elbow grease typically, but it should just come off. We taped these all last fall, so we knew exactly what dahlias they were going in. And depending on whether you divide in the fall or if you divide in the spring too, will kind of dictate, you know, if you can see the eyes. This tuber was washed up really nicely. It's actually been sitting out in open air pretty much for the last 3 months, which is not how you store dahlias. But this one's done really well, and out in here you can actually see that it is starting to wake up. We've got some good looking eyes coming down, so we're gonna go through. We got a spud. We got a bud starting right there. Right there, little bud. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna cut this up. We're gonna toss out the mother tuber, which is this thing right here. See, mother tuber's right there, it's all shriveled. It's gonna go, and possibly this big one beside it as well. But this should give us a whole bunch of nice new clumps. So here we go. So the first thing that I wanna do when I go in is I will sometimes look for the eyes. Oftentimes when I'm dividing, I will just look for that little nub that attaches to the original stem here. Normally somewhere on that stalk, often hidden, is an eye. This one has been cleaned up already, so I also make sure that I cut off, you know, all these extra bits here. Just makes the clump a lot easier to work with. Get rid of all of those super roots, and you don't have to worry about working with more than you need. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna cut out kind of what I can see. So the first logical choice for the dahlia is to go in and cut that sprout. We're gonna just chop her out, being careful not to destroy the tuber underneath. So that's it. Chopped that one out already. There we go, nice new tuber. I'm actually gonna take off all of these guys as well. This is why I bring multiple pruners, because we don't need to have all those little hangy. Bye-bye. So this is good. So what I will do with this is I will take this and I'm going to store this in a container with vermiculite. So I only ever store my dahlias in vermiculite and peat moss. And I'm gonna just put a good layer in the bottom. I'm going to take my dahlia tuber, we're gonna stick it in there. You can see it, and then we'll lay a row here, cover them with vermiculite, and put another layer on top. So I often find with dahlias, it helps to get them into smaller pieces. Then you can kind of see the clumps better that you are dividing. So now this is going to be much easier because I'm going to divide one up there, double checking to make sure I've got a good eye, which I do. And then it's going to go in with the other one. With dahlias, you always want to make sure that you have the tuber, which is the part that looks like the potato, the neck, which is this little part here, and then you want to make sure that you have the crown, which is where your eyes develop. This one has an eye on it. It's really small. It's not starting to develop yet, but it's just kind of in there. Now, every once in a while, you're going to get tubers that they're kind of clumps like this. These pieces down here probably aren't going to be new dahlia tubers for you. They don't have eyes. They don't have eyes on them. So what I'm actually gonna do is like these little tiny ones here. I'm just gonna snip them, and then we'll leave it like that. And that's how it'll go into storage. Now, sometimes if you find that you're doing this and your dahlias are already starting to get, you know, fun colors and mold and things like that, you can use cinnamon. Cinnamon's a great thing to use to kind of get rid of disease and pest. I have not yet found a need to use it. I have very few moldy dahlias when we store them in peat moss. And by peat moss, I mean vermiculite. I've got that cleaned up. We're gonna take our scoop. We're gonna add some more. I'm gonna set this kind of off to the side. And then always make sure that things are labeled. This is a good example here, so you can really see the eyes on this dahlia. And if you can't see it, it's okay, because sometimes it takes a few years to just be able to like recognize where the eyes are going to develop on a tuber. yes, that big, beautiful dahlia will grow from this tiny little tuber. We've probably gotten, right, this is a full container and this is just one dahlia clump. So that's why it's taking as long as it is. It's a whole thing. That is how you do dahlias. As I said before, like, it might take some time for you to kind of get used to how to do dahlias on your own. It'll take some time to recognize the eyes, but you will get there if it's just your first year. So don't get frustrated, just trust the process. You can always buy more tubers. So that is dahlias. Okay, so much dirt. Okay, so now let's get into the exciting part of dahlia growing for 2022, which is to say, I finally compiled a list of all of the dahlias that we are growing in the 2022 year, and let me tell you, like, it is a good patch. So, and I will show you photos. So what I actually did this year on my computer, I don't know if you can see it, I have itemized all of the dahlias that we're growing, the quantities, whether or not they're new, and then the amount of those particular dahlias that we're going to be growing, including propagates. So this is going to give me a good idea of what dahlias I actually do need to propagate in order to hit those quantity numbers that I want. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because since we sell flowers to a floral wholesaler, it is important that I know what I am growing and how much quantities I'm going to have, so I can kind of estimate stem counts if they call on me and it's like, hey, do you have 35 cafe au laits for a wedding? I can be like, well, yes I do. This is kind of a really important thing. You figure with a lot of dahlias, you're gonna get at least one flower a week, sometimes more depending on the type of dahlia. And so kind of keeping that in mind when you know how much you think that they're going to order is a good way to start figuring out what you need to grow in your garden. And similarly, if you're doing like market style bouquets, don't just plant one of every single variety that you have. It's a good idea to invest in multiple quantities of dahlias that you really love. Yeah, so that you can kind of guesstimate how many you're gonna have at the end of each week when you're sending your flowers out to your market. So now the moment you guys have all been waiting for, 2022. So this formal decorative is called a la mode. It is a peaches and cream close dahlia. I haven't been able to get PNC yet. I really want PNC. It's mostly just for my own selfish ambition, but I think I can deal with a la mode. Andrea Lawson is coming in, 4-inch ball, white ball bloom, similar to Eveline, has that lavender center, but it's much more structured in a ball shape than Eveline. Again, coming in for wedding work. Then we are bringing in Blighton Softer Gleam, which is one I've been trying to get my hands on for years. So quite pumped about this one. We are also bringing in Caitlin's Joy. I mean, look at that coral to that purple center. Oh, so good. We're going to be bringing in Cecil, which is just this very structured pink dahlia. Pink's bright colors are starting to come back in for summer weddings, so I want to make sure I'm growing lots of ball dahlias for that purpose. We're bringing Cheers in, which I think is close to American Dawn, but American Dawn's hard to find in Canada, so that's what we're doing. I think Cheers is a little smaller as well. It's a 3-inch bloom, whereas American Dawn I think is closer to a 5-inch bloom, so there is a bit of a difference there. Crichton Honey is coming in, which again, just that gorgeous kind of coppery, orangey, yellow, peachy color that's so popular right now. We are bringing in Ferncliff Classy. I'm really trying to fill out some of those raspberry tones in my fields. Ferncliff Pearl, which is a 5-inch formal decorative, which is coming in again for weddings. Ferncliff Spice, which has that gorgeous kind of cinnamony center to it. We are bringing in Islander, which is a brand new dinner plate for me, and I'm quite excited about the ruffles on this one. Then we are bringing in Joey Nikki because I have Joey Chantal, which is my sister-in-law's name, so we need to have Joey Nikki, which is my husband's name. My husband just walked in the door, so the dogs are kind of losing it a little bit. Then we are bringing Labyrinth in. I know I've never had Labyrinth in my gardens, so we're bringing that in this year. Then we are bringing Mission Gypsy in. This is another one I've been trying to get my hands on for years because I'm just in love with the way that the orange to the pink to the kind of purplishy center works. Mystique, which I'm just fascinated by the shape of the petals. It's a formal decorative style dahlia, so I'm interested to see what that looks like as it blooms. Orietti Adele. We'll see how I feel about this one. Already Adele. We'll see how I feel about this one. I don't tend to love dahlias that have, you know, that really pale yellow undertone to it. But this one's got such beautiful blush exterior petals that I'm hoping it'll win me over. Then we have Pink Suffusion, which is just a really hot pink dahlia because everybody needs some hot pink dahlias. We've got Robin Regal, which is a lavender, yeah, an iridescent lavender color dahlia. Always good to have some purples. We've got Rosendale Peach, again, another 6-inch formal decorative in the coral colors. That's just more continuous in color, more than like Linda's Baby or High Suntan or ones like that. We have Tahoma April, again, another hot pink ball dahlia, 4-inch this time. Tapioca, which is an informal decorative with just big fluffy petals, so I'm interested to see what that one looks like. And we're bringing in a Valley Rust Bucket, which is this really deep, like grapefruit orange almost. And then Westron Ella Grace, because again, look at those petals, they're so pretty. Who Me? Wedding Work. Again, this dahlia is coming in for wedding work. It's a dinner plate that I'm hoping I can offer alongside Eveline and Snow Hosanna and Florel, just to kind of round out some of our offerings for like those really beautiful kind of blushy, lavendery, whitey, big dahlias. Hoping this one's a good producer. And then the last one we're bringing in is another dinner plate. It is called Wynn's Pink Bear. This big, just kind of soft pink, beautiful dinner plate dahlia with like very full, with like formal decorative looking petals. So I'm hoping that one too will have a bit of like the Vasio Megos to it. Oh, look at our bug catcher doing its job. Okay, now the ones that we are getting rid of. So I culled these. I did not even like save the tubers for them because I don't like them. The first one that is disappearing from us this year, oh, so bad. So I'm not growing either of the Karma Chocks, the Karma dahlias again. We're not growing Karma Gold or Karma Chocolate. They just did not do well. Goodbye. We will not be growing Honeymoon this year. That one just did not survive. We'll also not be growing Firepot this year because I did not like it and it was had a lot of bug damage to it. We are culling Ferncliff Illusion from the garden. I know, but you know what? It's gotta go. It did not do well. We're also culling both of the creme dahlias. So the Creme de Cognac and the Creme de whatever the other one is. Here's a picture. They're not tall dahlias, so they didn't work well for us for cut flowers. They're very pretty, they're just not tall dahlias. We are also cutting out, let me go back down the other side of my list here. Oh, Natalie G is coming back in, so I'm hoping she'll survive. She didn't this past year. Also cut out Rancho. Turns out I don't like water lily dahlias, so no, we're getting rid of those. My least favorite of all the dahlias. Tahiti Sunrise. It's my note from last year says, hate it, cull it. Didn't dig any of them up, let them rot over the winter. We also are getting rid of Zingaro, which is another water lily. Surprise, surprise. Wasn't impressed, didn't keep the tubers. And then one that I wanted to keep, but I didn't actually manage to save any tubers from it, so it's more of a sad cull than anything else. It's Wine-Eyed Jill. Wine-Eyed Jill came to us, and I'm fairly sure she was a mislabel. So when she bloomed, she looked a little more like triple ED. So that's what I have that one labeled now in my stash, but I'm very sad about this one. I don't think I'm going to make the attempt to replace her. That is our 2022 Dahlia lineup. We are growing 95 different varieties this year. We are honing in on the amount of each variety that we're growing. And for those of you who are in Canada, our Dahlia tuber sale is coming up. It is Friday, February 25th. We will be live on the website at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We can ship anywhere across Canada. You will receive instructions on how to grow your dahlias. I'm quite excited because this is our first year doing a full Dahlia tuber sale. So lots going on here at the Green Bee. And I'm going to deal with all that mess. See that mess? That's my job this week. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about some of those dahlias, feel free to drop a comment below. Please subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot. Have a great day. It's wonderful to see you all here.